What if I told you that one of the most brilliant political moves in ancient history wasn't made by a king or a general, but by a woman who was married to a fool? A woman whose quick thinking and sharp tongue saved hundreds of lives and prevented a future king from making a terrible mistake. This is the story of a forgotten hero, a diplomat in a crisis, a woman named Abigail. And her story is more relevant today than you could ever imagine. Our story begins in the rugged hills of Judea. A young warrior, David, the same David who fought Goliath, is on the run. He's been anointed as the next king, but the current king, Saul, is hunting him down. David isn't alone. He has a loyal band of 600 men with him. They're tough, they're hungry, and they've been acting as unofficial protectors for the local shepherds and ranchers, guarding their flocks from raiders. Think of them as a private security force, keeping the peace in a chaotic land. One of the wealthiest men in the area is a man named Nabal. His name literally means fool, and trust me, he lives up to it. The Bible describes him as harsh and badly behaved. He's rich, arrogant, and completely lacks social grace. He has thousands of sheep and goats, and his wealth is largely thanks to the safe environment David's men have created. It's shearing time, which was like a massive festive harvest festival back then. It was a time of great celebration and generosity. So David, thinking it's only fair, sends 10 of his young men to Nabal with a very polite request. He basically says, "Hey, we've been protecting your shepherds and your flocks. Nothing has gone missing on our watch. Now that you're celebrating and have plenty, could you please spare some provisions for us? Whatever you can find in your hand for your servants and for your son David." It was a reasonable, respectful request. But Nabal, true to his name, flies into a rage. "Who is this David?" he sneers. "Who is the son of Jesse? There are many servants today who are breaking away from their masters. Shall I then take my bread and my water and my meat that I have slaughtered for my shearers and give it to men who come from who knows where?" He not only refuses but insults David, calling him a runaway servant. It was a massive slap in the face. He dismissed the future king of Israel as a nobody. When David's men return with Nabal's insulting reply, David is furious. His honor has been publicly challenged. He doesn't hesitate. "Every man, strap on your sword," he commands. David and 400 of his men march out, vowing to wipe out Nabal and every male in his household by morning. This isn't just anger, it's a warrior's rage. David is about to make a decision fueled by pride and vengeance, a decision that would stain his legacy forever. But someone was listening. One of Nabal's servants, who knew how foolish his master was and how dangerous the situation had become, didn't go to Nabal. He knew that was a dead end. Instead, he ran to the one person who might be able to fix this disaster, Nabal's wife, Abigail. The Bible describes her as both intelligent and beautiful. Where Nabal was foolish and cruel, Abigail was wise and discerning. The servant explains everything: how David's men protected them, how polite their request was, and how horribly Nabal responded. "Now therefore know and consider what you should do," the servant pleads. "For harm is determined against our master and against all his house, and he is such a worthless man that one cannot speak to him." He lays the entire crisis at her feet. The lives of her husband, her servants, and her entire household are now in her hands. What does Abigail do? Does she panic? Does she despair? No. She acts immediately. Without even telling her husband, she springs into action with incredible speed and efficiency. This is where her wisdom shines. She gathers a massive offering of provisions: 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 dressed sheep, bushels of roasted grain, 100 clusters of raisins, and 200 cakes of figs. She loads it all on donkeys and sends her servants on ahead of her. She knows she can't show up empty-handed. This isn't a bribe. It's an apology. It's a gesture of honor to soothe a warrior's wounded pride. Then, riding her own donkey, she heads out to intercept David and his army. She takes a path down a mountain ravine, a hidden route. As she comes around a bend, she sees them, David and his 400 armed men, marching with deadly intent. Can you imagine the fear? She is one woman riding towards an enraged warlord and his private army who have sworn to destroy her family. Just before she meets him, we hear David's thoughts. He's muttering to himself, consumed by his anger. Surely in vain I have guarded all that this fellow has in the wilderness, and he has returned me evil for good. God do so to the enemies of David, and more also, if by morning I leave so much as one male of all who belong to him. He is fully committed to this path of bloody revenge. And then he sees her, Abigail. She gets off her donkey and bows down before him, her face to the ground. She completely humbles herself. And then she begins one of the most masterful speeches you will ever read. She takes all the blame upon herself. "On me, my lord, on me let this iniquity be," she says. "Please let your servant speak in your ears and hear the words of your servant." She starts by acknowledging her husband's foolishness. "Let not my lord regard this worthless fellow Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him." She's not making excuses for him. She's validating David's anger by agreeing with him. Then she shifts gears. She elevates the conversation from a personal insult to a matter of divine importance. She reminds David of his destiny. She tells him that the Lord has restrained him from coming to bloodshed. She's reframing the situation. This isn't David backing down. This is God intervening through her to protect David's future. She presents her gift, the provisions she brought, and asks that they be given to his men. Then she delivers the masterstroke. She prophesies his future. "The Lord will certainly make for my Lord an enduring house, because my Lord is fighting the battles of the Lord, and evil shall not be found in you all your days." She's reminding him of his higher calling. He's not a common thug who settles scores with a sword. He's God's chosen king. And then the final powerful appeal. "When the Lord has done to my Lord according to all the good that he has spoken concerning you, and has appointed you prince over Israel, this shall be no cause of grief or a pang of conscience to my Lord for shedding blood without cause, or for my Lord taking vengeance himself." She is asking him to think about his future, his legacy, his conscience. She's telling him, "Don't let this foolish man Nabal be the reason you have blood on your hands. It's not worth it. Your future is too bright to be tarnished by this." David is stunned. Her words cut through his rage like a knife through butter. He sees the truth in what she's saying. His anger melts away, replaced by clarity and gratitude. He looks at her and says, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, who sent you this day to meet me. Blessed be your discretion, and blessed be you, who have kept me this day from blood guilt and from avenging myself with my own hand." He accepts her gift and tells her to go home in peace. The crisis is averted. The army turns back. Abigail, through her wisdom, courage, and eloquence, has single-handedly saved everyone. She returns home to find Nabal drunk, feasting like a king, completely oblivious to the fact that he was hours away from death. Abigail, again showing her wisdom, says nothing to him until the next morning when he's sober. When she tells him what happened, how she intercepted a vengeful army and saved his life, the shock is too much. The Bible says, his heart died within him and he became like a stone. About 10 days later, the Lord struck Nabal and he died. When David heard the news, he recognized it as divine justice. He praised God for preventing him from doing evil and for bringing Nabal's evil back on his own head. And then, remembering the incredible woman who had saved him from himself, David sent for Abigail and asked her to be his wife. And she, a widow who had just saved her people, became the wife of the future king. Abigail's story is a powerful lesson in wisdom, peacemaking, and courage. She saw a crisis, took responsibility, and acted decisively. She used words, not weapons, to diffuse a violent situation. She appealed to the best in David, not the worst, reminding him of his identity and destiny. She shows us that true strength isn't about pride or power, but about the wisdom to navigate conflict and the courage to stand for what is right, even when you're standing alone in the path of an army. Thank you so much for watching. If this story inspired you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of forgotten heroes and timeless wisdom. Let me know in the comments what you think about Abigail's incredible courage. See you in the next video.